Long gone are the days where you need to create content with one specific keyword in mind and then use that keyword over and over and over again.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips. Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 85, and today I want to talk to you about something that you might be doing when creating new website content that actually could be hurting you. We are going to talk about keyword cannibalization. This again is a jargon-filled word that I promise we are going to break down. And this is actually something, again, that was sourced by our audience, wondering, am I doing this to myself without even realizing it? So let's talk about this. Keyword cannibalization means that you have multiple blog posts or pages on your website that rank for the exact same query in Google. In other words, you have multiple pieces of content that serve the same purpose. And if that's the case, why wouldn't you make one really good piece of content instead? Because long gone are the days where you need to create content with one specific keyword in mind and then use that keyword over and over and over again. That feels yuck, right? And if it feels that way, it's likely not a good SEO strategy. So, does this mean that you can never use the same keyword twice? Absolutely not. You can target a keyword on multiple pages if the search intent is different. So, in order to break this down, I'm going to give you a couple different. Let's say you're a nutritionist and you want to write some content around the keyword weight loss. So, here's an example of what keyword cannibalization would look like. Say you have one piece of content that's all about the top 10 foods for weight loss. Your audience is people who are looking for general information about foods that aid weight loss. And then you write another piece of content and it's titled Weight Loss Diet, the Best Foods to Shed Pounds. Now, you might be thinking, okay, top 10 foods for weight loss. That's going to be a list of just the foods that are the best for weight loss. My next post is going to be more about weight loss diet and what foods you can incorporate into your diet. So it might not be more of just a list of foods, but it could be positioned a little bit differently. But now I want you to take a look at the audiences. It's the same audience. It's the same people who are looking for foods that will help them lose weight. So, what could we do instead? What could we do instead if we want to write towards weight loss, but we want to make sure that our content is differentiated and we're serving two different audiences? Let's instead have one piece of content that talks about exploring the role of superfoods in weight loss. Our audience is someone who wants to understand the science and the things behind these superfoods and how they contribute to weight loss. And now let's think about another piece of content that can still talk about weight loss, but can be a little bit different. The second piece of content could be creating a sustainable weight loss diet, food choices, and strategies. Now you can see that this is for someone who is building a diet plan. They're building this way for them to lose weight with some kind of custom diet plan. Whereas the first piece of content was all about superfoods and the science behind it. Both are targeting someone with the search intent of weight loss, but they're targeting them in two very different ways. And that is how you should think about content. So let's take another example for a product business. Let's pretend that we sell products for the sweetest puppies on the planet. Things like leashes, collars, training treats, anything like that. So you have two pieces of content. Again, one could be choosing the best dog leash for training. Two could be walking your dog, picking the perfect leash to go for a walk. These two pieces of content, again, are helping dog owners seek advice on choosing a leash. So, as a part, and this is one of the things that I want you to ask yourself every time you are worried about keyword cannibalization. Could these posts live together? And they absolutely could, because part of your post on choosing the best dog leash for training, you could have a section in there that's all about walking, training for walking, and how to choose the best leash for that. That could live under content option number 1. So, what should we do instead? Let's instead think about two very different ways we can talk about leashes, but serve two different audiences. Content number 1 could be all about mastering dog training, picking the right leash for obedience training. Say that's your post number 1. This is a cornerstone blog. This is a blog that is going to be detailed and deep because the title speaks to that. Mastering dog training. I want to give you all the tips you need to master training, and we're going to help you pick the right leash for it too. So, this intended audience is very specific, someone who's looking for obedience training. Let's talk about another option that can still help people choose a leash. Enjoying daily walks, how to choose a leash for leisurely strolls. Now you can see we're not targeting someone who might have a puppy or who's focused on obedience training. We're targeting someone who just likes to go for walks and they want to choose the right leash. This is not the person who's going to be looking for training. And the titles of these blog posts differentiate that and help differentiate your content while still speaking to the same thing of finding a leash. So here are some questions that I want you to ask yourself in order to determine if you are cannibalizing your content without realizing it. The first one is, what are the keywords that I want to target? Are those keywords the same? Because oftentimes they might be similar, but they probably shouldn't be exactly the same. You should have a longer tail keyword layered in it, or there should be some differentiating aspects. Next thing I want you to ask yourself is, do these pages cover different angles or aspects of the topic? Make sure that those content are differentiated. And third, could I consolidate this into one comprehensive resource? Or does it truly make sense on their own? Because consolidating stuff together is actually a really good SEO strategy. You do not need more, you need quality. So, how can we avoid keyword cannibalization? Here are a few tips that you can start just avoiding it from the beginning rather than needing to go back and fix. The first one is to identify content pillars and making sure that your content pillars are differentiated in your business. So, I want you not to have overlapping content pillars, but content pillars that are very different from each other. Then I want you to identify your audience prior to writing each post. Before you write the piece of content, I want you to think about who it's for, not a general audience of everyone. I want you to think about the exact individual. Who is that person? Give them a name. What do they like to do? Why are they searching for this content? Because your content is going to be so much richer when you understand who your audience is. Next, I want you to use a clear and specific title that speaks to your audience. You can see in those examples that the titles were the biggest differentiating factor. And that is so true in making sure that your content is differentiated. And then, if you've already think that you've done this, you think that, okay, I'm worried I have some cannibalized content in the arsenal of blog posts that I have. What should I do about it? Go back and update it. I would rather you take off one or two blogs that you have upcoming this next month and instead spend some time refreshing old content, because that is a great SEO strategy. So go into those blogs, combine them together, and then redirect one of the old URLs to the new URL where your combined content lives. That way you won't have any broken links. Everyone can still find everything they need, and you created an all new comprehensive piece of content that is going to serve your audience better. Next, I want you to monitor your performance in Google Analytics. I want you to track which pieces of content are performing really well for you and look at that. I also want you to monitor your Google Search Console, and I want you to look at your pages that are getting indexed. There is a certain phrase in there or an issue in there that will pop up all about non-canonical errors. This means duplicate content. And if you have these errors, it is something good to monitor because you need to understand if Google has already identified duplicate content in your website. And if they haven't identified it and you still think you have some, it can be a good idea to stay ahead of Google. Make sure that you are optimizing before Google even finds out, right? So the biggest thing you can do is to focus on user intent over keyword competition. Stop focusing on repeating a keyword and start focusing on the intent you have of creating this piece of content and who this piece of content is for. And when you create content that provides value to your audience and answers their question, you are going to be serving the best content you can to search engines, and your content will perform better because of it. Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what search engines are focused on too. They're focused on bringing their audience the best content. So let that be yours. Thank you for listening to another episode of Duo on Air, and we'll see you next week. If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.